You are now listening to the podcast for geeks and the stuff they love, where each week we'll talk about everything from anime to movies, games, and prop collecting with the people who create and love it. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Vince.
I'm James.
And this is your Geek Fix.
Yeah, no, I brought up on this channel too a while back with you guys that I had built a Rick and Morty car.
Yeah.
I did it at the wrong time.
But because it's just the Roy.
Yeah, that's exactly when we were about to do all that. It was just bad timing, and so I thought, well, I'll wait and see what happens.
We can easily invite him on the channel now, I guess.
I think it would be by Skype from prison. I think it is.
But
it's funny. It says he was charged in 2020, which it seems like I thought they had their last episodes were since then, but I guess that's what it says online. Is 2020 was when he was charged.
It could be
early charge.
That he just got charged, but it only
that was before
out.
It expanded, I think, to more and more people. But I mean, Rick and Morty is kind of a classic.
But it's the new voices.
Thing.
Well,
that's part of the thing. Yeah. So have you heard the? So now, first off, there's two shows that were that he was doing at the time. So you got the Solar Opposites, and then you had Rick and Morty. And everyone was waiting to see what both did. And the Solar Opposites kind of revealed what they did first. And they've already released the intro. So you can see the intro to the show, even though the show hadn't started yet. And basically their way was that...
very intelligent.
Yeah, they get a dart set, isn't it? And then he gets hit in the neck with a dart, and then their way to do it is to get the voice changing ray, and now he's got this English voice, and they're just like, let's just leave it that way. Like, we could switch it back, we could get the other ray, but I kind of like the way it is, so they're just gonna leave it that way.
It's kind of like with Transformers when they changed a voice actor. They're robots; they can do whatever they want.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
We put in a new voice box.
Yeah.
The video card we installed. But at the same time, so that's how they handled theirs. I was like, I don't know. I mean, this is one of those things where the fans, it would be hard to watch without the voices being at least close to the same. And I've heard a lot of criticism about because Morty's voice most people say Morty's voice sounds fine, but Rick's, when he says certain things, it doesn't sound like him, like when he gets loud or something like that. Mm. But in the preview, I thought it was close enough for me.
Yeah.
And the episodes, what they showed from it, the only thing I have a problem with that Rick and Morty was starting to do is they were starting to get too serious, and they were becoming serialized.
Yeah.
Which I didn't like either. I mean, I think it should be like Simpsons, where you could jump in on any episode, watch it. You don't have to know anything beforehand, and it's like, oh yeah, this is
that's kind of what happened to me. So I originally started watching Rick and Morty when the first 2 seasons were out, and I went on to Adult Swim, and it turns out that I watched the whole second season before watching the first, and so the only thing with like the second season is that the first episode of the second season is a continuation of the last episode of the first. Yeah. And so I watched that, and I didn't fully understand what was going on, but I still enjoyed it enough to like not really question myself, watch the whole season, and then found out the first one existed. But as you say, like at least with the first seasons, you could watch it any way, which way you wanted to, and it didn't really matter.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's like the same thing with the Solar Opposites thing. Is the Solar Opposites, which I didn't really even start watching until I think it had a second season, is the only thing that took me out of it or that I didn't like was the little sub story about the micro people in the wall, because it also a similar thing. It was too serious and too whatever.
You have to think about the fact that Justin Roiland just gets drunk and things up shit.
That's right. They got to fill it in with others. Yeah, it's like, I guess we're gonna do micro people now.
Yeah. Interdimensional cables is just all the stuff that he says after he records the episode.
Yep.
Into episodes
it messes it up. Well, so it's interesting because, I mean, honestly, even before all that stuff came, to light, probably most people are aware The big thing that a lot of fans got frustrated with over and over again too was that it would take long periods of time. They wouldn't release when they were supposed to and things. That has nothing to do with him. That has everything to do with Dan, I think.
Production in general.
Well, and Dan Harmon has a long-standing history with all of the shows that he's ever done of getting into having a lot of drama between him and the other cast members or people, not getting things done on time and stuff. There's what was it called? I want to say Harmonville. That's not what it was called, was it? Let's see. I think I actually wrote it down. Yeah. Oh yeah, Harmontown. There was the documentary about Dan when he decided to start doing his on the road tour of their podcast, because he had a podcast for a long time, actually, very well, except the fact that I think that's the name of the podcast. And then the big thing that's also where the whole, when they started doing some of the it's not called Dungeons. It was Dungeons and Dragons, basically. It was in fact, I think they even played the actual game when they were doing the podcast.
Yeah.
But that's, and then they did they ended up spinning off later on, and
I think Dan is a creative in the most natural sense of the word.
Yeah.
That he wants to do fun stuff, or when it bogs down to boring stuff.
Well, he's not. Yeah, the issue is
I don't know
like
Dan
so
personally. So
right, you don't hang out with him anymore. So he had a tendency. Yeah, in this documentary though, it even showed. So he's on the road, and while they're on the road traveling in the RV, he's supposed to be writing these scripts, which has signed contracts for 2 different shows with 2 different groups. And he's supposed to be handing in, a certain amount of the script each, on certain dates. And instead of doing that, all he's doing is spending his time talking about how he should be doing it, but he's not doing it. He procrastinates and things like that. And that's literally what happened with Rick and Morty too.
People tell him to do a trick, and he blocks because he does the trick well, but only when he feels like it.
Yeah, or he gets into the thing that he's doing in the moment, and then he kind of abandons the previous child kind of thing.
He's
which
pretty
happened
like
with
I am in that
regard. Community is one of the big ones, for example. So the Community movie is about to come out. Actually, they're about to start making it.
It's going to be straight to DVD. I feel
it's actually being made for which streaming service is it?
HBO.
No, it's the Peacock is the one that's gonna be done for
CBS.
It's actually called Peacock, right?
Or NBC. The app is. But at any rate, so but at the same time, he's been in and out of involvement on that, and then when he was, he had a big thing between him and Chevy Chase, and it seems like I get you, but I mean, like everything that he's done, there's some of the other casts have been interviewed lately too and stuff that had problems with him and stuff, but I mean, when he decides to do something, he'll just kind of do it, or he'll drop out and people are wondering where he's at and stuff. So there's long periods of time where like Rick and Morty didn't come out. Back in the old days of Rick and Morty, for example, it would be like 2 years before you'd see another episode kind of thing. So I don't know. I mean, but at the same time, he did comment though. He said these are the last things that he said to Ryland before they didn't talk again. He said the trust of the Rick and Morty fan base has been violated. I'm frustrated, ashamed, and heartbroken that a lot of hard work, joy, and passion can be leveraged to exploit and harm strangers. I remember saying to him the last time we spoke in person, like, I am worried about you, and I don't know what to do about that except to give you all the strings and also just say I'm scared that you're not going to come back. But then this conversation became unpredictably confrontational. I think that as far as I get to take the story, anyway, so he basically just said, he tried to tell him, hey, things are going not well. I'm worried that this is something that can't, work out. And then at that point in time, and at that point in time too, he really didn't see that it was worth going forward with Rick and Morty. So it was better to leave it. Well, people still liked it than it was to try and mess things up further. And so at that point in time, he kind of started to check out.
But do you think the voices are AI or if they just have sound alikes?
No, so they got two. So this is the big difference. So before, one voice for two people, or one person for two people's voices, and now they have two actors for the two voices. And so
it's confirmed that they are actors. It's not that they just ran.
Yeah, no, they are actors. In fact, you can actually watch the actors. You can see who they are.
Cool. Because they sound really alike, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's and I think that's the way that they achieved. But we need to make it sound as much as we can similar. And it's probably hard for a lot of people to switch as quickly as when they did the voices and the recordings, which you can go back and watch. When he used to do it, he was literally switching right back and forth.
Yeah, but I also think, it's now a thing to hear it. I watched The Amazing World of Gumball, and they switched up the goldfish a couple of times because the kids got into adulthood and couldn't do the squeaky voice anymore.
Yeah, forgot.
you get used to it. That's season 4. What's the kid called again? The fish. I don't know, but that's a cool series to watch as well, though. But now it's a thing. Before it was you need 1,000 IQ to understand Rick and Morty, and now it's you are a connoisseur. You can recognize the voice difference. Yeah.
But I think it's also because the shows are quite different fan base. Obviously, the Amazing World of Gumball doesn't have the exact same fan base, the special fan.
Right. And Rick and Morty is kids with high.
I don't know. I think probably Gumball has. It's kind of like what's the other one? Adventure Time and stuff like that. Had a bigger adult fan base than they did.
Well, it's
child.
a time of real dark. Gumball went real deep into geekhood. So that's really
they
cool
did
show.
a lot of adult related jokes too.
Yeah,
they did. Kids'
but
heads,
not so adult as Adventure Time, where you see dead radioactive monsters coming out of a pit. So yeah, Rick and Morty, 1,000 years or whatever. Rick said that this season. Yeah,
right.
But also, speaking of delayed cartoons, the Venture Brothers.
Oh, also, I was going to bring that up too. I just watched the movie. Did you watch the movie?
Yeah, that's great.
I thought it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was really good. That was a good way to close it out.
But then at it's 15 years ago since the first episode started or something. Yeah. And they have skips between because they're a very small studio.
It's just two people.
Yeah,
back then. Yeah.
I love that show. It just gets worse and worse and worse. But also the Johnny Quest tropes and even the Johnny Quest cameo in there. It's it's great stuff.
Yeah, I played a lot on a lot of the shows that I watched when I was a kid and stuff, and it had the same aesthetic. Yeah.
With the release of Cyberpunk 2.0, I've been playing the game again, and V sounds like Dr. Girlfriend.
Oh, really?
It's the same gruff voice. Oh yeah, let's kick in some doors.
Yeah,
something like that.
Dr. Girlfriend was kind of one of the major characters in the movie too.
Yeah,
it's mostly about them, but
Doctor Mrs. the Monarch is it now, right?
Yeah. The Venture Brothers was definitely an adult show. In fact, they even had nudity in one of the episodes. But
the DVD has the uncensored version where you can actually see the stuff dangling around.
Right. Yeah. Now you mentioned earlier the virtual. I don't know if you guys are aware because this just barely happened. So the whole strike situation, which I have my own opinions on, but
the SAG-AFTRA
actually is all wrapped up. The actors and the bigger part is with the Screenwriters Guild.
Oh yeah.
Is that one of the things that they put in there is that they cannot write scripts or have actors that are AI. So that's something that's not allowed to happen from here on out. So yeah, I'm anxious to see what that leads to.
In America, then.
I think that's unfortunate, though. At the same time, yeah, it has to be SAG related.
Yeah.
So it's funny because SAG and the and the SWG are both American based, but at the same time, yeah, it's
SAG
true.
is what
It's
you
their
get when you
unions.
get older.
Yeah. Get a little SAG in on. But yeah, I mean, who knows where this is going to go? But anxious to
We're
see
going to have Chinese
what the
AI,
Venture Brothers is
AI
like.
farms making Avengers spin-off.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So Vince, you didn't like. This seems like a little bit of a jump, but at the same time, I had to cover it too, just minorly, because we talked about it, kind of excited back in the day.
Yeah.
Was the whole thing as far as One Piece goes?
Oh yeah.
The series came out on Netflix. I watched it all the way through. And honestly, in the end, I mean, if you watch it all the way through, I thought they did a pretty good job with it in the end. And if you're somebody that normally gets bored with the cartoon, or you can't handle, or the anime, and you can't handle how long it would take to get to that, it's less episodes, and it tells you all the same stuff. Like they do, and they stayed pretty true to the story. I didn't see where they deviated from the story. They didn't change major plot lines. The most impressive thing was, the thing I thought was going to be the hardest for them to replicate was the fight styles. Like Sanji's kicks and things. This guy, in the cartoon, it's over, they overemphasize it, the way that he kicks and things. And yet this guy could really do it just like him.
Yeah,
the person that actually seemed the least realistic, or at least matched up, was actually Luffy. Everyone else did it exactly like they did in the
I think
anime.
Sanji's actor took kickboxing lessons and stuff to actually get into the whole thing, and he also did lots of cooking on production. On production sets, so that he could really get into the character.
Because that spin kick,
that's what they
the
tell them,
classic
but just...
Sanji spin kick. I mean, he did it exactly. I mean, it looked exactly as it does in the anime, perfectly. Everyone's stuff was pretty good. Course, but... No, it was actually him doing it, because you can watch background of him doing the practice and stuff like that. I mean, it was pretty. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And then I don't know. I thought it was all done pretty. And some of the people look exactly the same. Oh crap, what's the name of the kid that's the with the glasses and stuff, and then the Kobe, and then what's the name of the guy that had the gun thing and that we talked about? the hammer gun. They looked exactly like they do in the anime. He looked like either like a Harry Potter double or like a good Kobe double. So I don't know. I thought the whole thing was done very. I was pretty impressed so far. I'm excited to see what they do with season 2, because that's where we start getting into Blue and stuff like that. And the question is, will they actually have him, or are they going to blow him up as an iceberg like they did in the for kids version? I don't know.
We'll
see.
Down and they die.
yeah. That's right. At the very end, let's end the series. Yep, and it just ends like that. Yep. I don't know. Let's wait and see. If you have a show that you want us to review, because we're always looking for stuff too. I was thinking about this last night. Half the stuff that we talked about last month were things that actually you guys left in comments and told us about. And so, things you want us to cover, things you want us to talk about, let us know.
If you've enjoyed this podcast and want more, stay tuned for that. But also check out our channel, join the community on YouTube that goes by the same name, Your Geek Fix. Be sure to check out Vinz on Twitter at massivedmg_ and on his YouTube channel, massivedmg. Check out James at Mr. Malto4 on Instagram and the Replica Prop Forum. We also want to hear from you, so be sure to send your questions, stories, and other projects to yourgeekfix@gmail.com. In the meantime, this has been Your Geek Fix.